Hello there guys, it's Ebird Online and I'm back with another review. And so today I'm going to be talking to you about Jess and Colt. As we remember, last week Debbie let the cat out the bag that Vanessa is looking after the cats. And this week things go seriously left. This is 90 Day Fiance Happily Ever After, Season 5 Episode 9, Burnt Bridges and Bitter Truths. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you've yet to do so, and thank you to everyone who's subscribed thus far. And please subscribe to my new channel, Ebird Unfiltered, and on this channel I'll be talking about whatever interests me. And also don't forget to smash the like button. So without further ado, I give you Colt and Jessica. So we pick up where we left off last week, and Colt and Debbie are still in the hotel room after the argument. So Jess has just stormed out, and I think it's fair to suggest that Debbie's pants are literally on fire, because Debbie says, "I had no idea that she didn't know about Vanessa. I'm really sorry, I didn't know. I had no clue. I hope I haven't caused any trouble." Debbie, when production asked you last week if you knew that Jess didn't know about Vanessa, you gave a sneaky and sly little grin, which told everybody that you did. And then, quite inexplicably, Colt says, "I feel like I'm walking on eggshells. I feel so paranoid, and I can't handle that." Oh Colt, you wouldn't be paranoid if you weren't such a goddamn liar. And then Debbie tells production that Jess storming off was completely childish. And she tells Colt, she's just a friend. Nobody should be able to tell you who you can and can't be friends with. I just don't know why she can't accept that. That's the worrying thing. And Colt said, yeah, she's jealous and insecure. And to his mother, he makes absolutely no mention of lying to Jess. And we knew we'd get round to it sooner or later. Debbie was dying to come out with it. She tells production it's an exact repeat of what happened with Larissa. And she asks Colt quite quizzically, how did it start with Larissa? Was it with the jealousy? And Colt said, yeah, it started with jealousy, and then she isolated me from all my friends. And Colt, it would seem, has been learning about emotional abuse from Woman's Weekly magazine. Colt must try harder. But Colt, you forget, we saw your wedding last season, and there were about 10 people there. You don't have any friends. You had to beg for your cousin to come. And he only turned up because he got free promotion for his business with his branded t-shirt. Colt, I humbly request that you write us a list of all of these friends that Larissa has allegedly isolated you from. Or maybe Colt's referring to Cookie Dough, Baby Girl and Sugar. And I guess in Colt's make-believe fantasy world, anything is possible. Or I wonder, did Larissa start isolating you in secondary school? That's another potential theory. But Debbie's right about one thing. It did start with the same scenario with Larissa. Because with both Larissa and Jessica, Colt was shagging Vanessa. And then Colt tells production, I'm paralysed by fear. I'm having flashbacks of Larissa. Paralysed by fear, Colt? You really are doing far too much. And guys, I'd like you to remember that statement because I'm going to come back to that. And then he tells production, it's quite obvious that my mother's trying to split me and Jess up. So then Colt, why didn't you pull your mum up on it? Why did you just leave it? These two would not know the truth if it slapped them in the face. What really bugs me is that they think everybody is stupid. Do you not think that you're laying it on just a little bit too thick? When Jess was in the room, you casually sat there on the sofa. You certainly didn't look paralysed by fear. And the next time we see Colt, he tells us it's his final night in Brazil. He also says he feels very guilty for lying to Jess. In addition to this, Colt, you should feel guilty for gaslighting her. And you should also feel guilty for not going after her when she stormed off yesterday. And then we have Jess talking to production. And she tells him, I completely trusted him regarding Vanessa, but now I don't know what to believe. And Jess is another little sneaky one, just like Larissa. She's managed to somehow get Vanessa's number. And she calls Vanessa and asks, are you still talking to Colt? Vanessa confirms, I talk to him all the time, we speak every day. And Jess is absolutely apoplectic with rage, yet another lie, when Debbie was saying, it's nothing to do with Colt. I'm friends with Vanessa, she's looking after the cats for me. Nope, yet another lie, because Vanessa's confirmed that she speaks to Colt all the time. And guys, it gets even worse because Jessica actually says that Colt went to all the trouble of showing her screenshots of his phone, where he'd allegedly texted Vanessa and said, I don't want you in my life anymore, I'm with Jess. I'm in love with her, so please leave me alone. So this is what made Jessica really think this is serious. He's definitely not speaking to Vanessa anymore. And I guess that put her mind at ease. And it's pretty obvious if he's gone to all this trouble to convince Jess that he's no longer speaking with Vanessa, he definitely told Debbie, don't say anything to Jess. So this whole scenario is a massive setup from at least Debbie, but very possibly Debbie and Colt. And Jess storms up to Colt's hotel room and she bursts through the door screaming and shouting, and she takes her shoes off and throws them at Colt, Cardi B style. And guys, it was pretty wild. She almost hit one of the cameramen as she was doing it, and she was absolutely going mad and she was saying, "You're a liar, you're a liar. I'm never going to speak to you ever again." And whilst Colt was in the midst of trying to deny it all, she showed him Vanessa's messages confirming that they were indeed still in touch. And she turned off and ran barefoot down the hallway to her own room. And so Colt, who let's all remember everybody, was paralysed with fear, runs after Jess. And he's following right behind her down the corridor, and he says, "She's a friend. I'm allowed to have friends." Nobody said you weren't, Colt, but you've already confirmed that you've slept with Vanessa, so she's slightly more than friends. And Jess gets in the lift, Colt tries to get in after her, Jess breaks free and runs back to the hotel room, and she starts packing her case frantically. The whole time, Colt's right behind her saying, "Jess, calm down, let's just sit and talk about this." But Colt, it's too late. She said, "You're trash, I'm going to see my ex-boyfriend, you're nothing but a goddamn liar." And Colt said when he heard this, it almost broke his heart. "Really, Colt? Do you have one?" And Colt said, "Jess, I was going to marry you, I was going to propose to you." And he pleaded with her. And then again to production, Colt said, "I've seen her violence, but never like this. She hit me with the heel of her shoes." "Oh Colt, please don't tell me you've been listening to Jessie again." And he said, "I thought I was going to pass out." "Oh Colt, the shoes missed you entirely." But having said that, when he ran down the corridor after her, she did give him a massive shove to get him away. And Jessica's now leaving the hotel. And Colt, still paralysed with fear and on the verge of passing out, continues to follow her. And I gotta tell you, she must feel very, very strongly, because she's got 2 massive suitcases and a backpack, and she's just flying out of that hotel. And as she stands outside waiting for a taxi, she said, "Colt, why didn't you just tell me the truth?" "Oh Jessica, the truth is an alien concept to Colt. Colt just goes through life saying whatever he's got to say to get sex with hot girls. And to hell with any of the rest of the consequences." Some people ask how he sleeps at night, and I think I know, on a waterbed of Larissa's tears. And so that's everything for this week, and I think it's fair to say that's the end for Colt and Jess. And he said that he's seen Jess jealous before, but he never imagined that she'd try to physically hurt him. And so what does the Ebird make from all of this? Well, it's very, very strange, but I believe it's very similar to what happened with Larissa. And whilst I don't condone in any way, shape or form throwing shoes at somebody or pushing someone or physically putting hands on anybody, I genuinely don't think at any time Colt was in danger from Jess. When she threw the shoes at him, she threw them at no more than waist height, and she was telling him, go away, and he was following right after her. And he really should have just left her alone. I think the only reason that the police weren't called, yet again, was 1, because he was in Brazil, and 2, because the cameras were there to actually see that he hasn't been harmed by Jess. But let's look at the language that Colt uses. "I'm paralysed with fear. She's violent. She hit me with the heel of her shoes. I was almost about to pass out." None of this is true. And it's my belief that this is the kind of thing that he said to police when getting Larissa arrested 3 times. And I still have to look into that in a little bit more depth so I can see exactly what the charges were. But it wouldn't at all surprise me if it was 6 of one and half a dozen of the other. And Colt at the time quite successfully managed to portray Larissa as jealous and crazy. And I myself, when he said to the girl in the restaurant, "I like your glasses," thought absolutely nothing of it. Because it's Colt, you feel like he's a big teddy bear and that he's harmless. But both Larissa and Jess say he's a womanizer, he's a ladies' man. And as hard as it is to believe, I think there is something in it. And what do we make of the whole debacle with Vanessa? Here's what I think. I think Colt was seeing Vanessa all along, and for whatever reason Colt wanted to get onto this show, and I think he chased after Jessica because she needed a visa and obviously Vanessa doesn't. And I have been looking at different message boards, and lots of people are saying that Colt is now seeing Vanessa. And so from my point of view, the whole thing is more than just a tad suspicious. And I think Colt's one of these typical people who says, "I hate all of this, I hate the drama," but Colt, you start the drama. That's my belief, that you start the drama. And if it's not you personally, you wind Mummy up, so Mummy starts the drama. And ladies, we all know somebody just like Colt. Many of us have gone out with somebody just like Colt. But ladies, we've seen it all before, although admittedly, never quite so much of it. And so let's get to Jess. I do think on the balance of probability that she was more than likely using him for a green card or as a way to stay in the States. But at this point, I really can't be sure. If you'd have asked me last week, I would have said, yep, definitely. She's only known him 2 minutes, how can she be in love. However, her actions today and the fact that he was saying, I was going to marry you, I'm in love with you, and she was like, nope, I'm going to go and sleep with somebody else, you'll never see me again, you'll die alone. That makes me think that potentially she did actually like Colt and there was something in it. So guys, on this one I'm really not sure. Let me know in comments what you think. Was Jess in love, or was Jess in love with the idea of a green card? And whilst I'm inclined to feel a little bit sorry for her, she hasn't handled herself massively well, I don't think, thus far. I think she's rude when she talks about sex in front of Debbie, I think she's inappropriate, and I didn't like the way that she spoke to Debbie at the family meal. Even though Debbie overstepped the mark and she was getting very involved in the relationship, I still think there's no need for that behaviour. And I know if I'd have done that, my dad would have given me a clip around the ear. And so guys, I can't wait to hear what your take is on all of this. Please let me know in comments down below. As usual, I do read every comment and I'll answer as many as I can. And it just leaves for me to say, thank you so much for listening. Please don't forget to smash the like button and also subscribe to my channel if you've yet to do so. You've been listening to Ebird Online. Ciao for now.